Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the VA Hunting Bros. It's Lowell here and Eldon here. I'm Eldon. Lowell, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Feeling pretty rough today, aren't you?
I am not.
Well, you look pretty rough.
I always look rough. I feel much better after being sick a good bit this week.
Yeah. So I think the idea here is that we are going to talk through our Virginia season. We had a couple episodes covering our stuff out in Missouri at the beginning of November, but then Virginia's season just ended a week ago, I guess. So
sadly.
Well,
that's why I'm sick.
I feel like it was kind of about time, but I understand
sick
that
all week after the season went out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that had something to do with it.
Could be heart sick or something. Yeah.
But the good news is, in just a mere 9 months, October the 1st, opening day.
Coming right up, isn't it?
Opening day, baby.
Yeah.
And if we go find an early opening state.
People keep messaging me. Is that a sign that we shouldn't be podcasting right now? Or that I should maybe mute everything?
Or we should just get into it.
Yeah. So, what did we do when we got back from Missouri?
Well, we just kind of did some hunting and stuff. How we normally do.
I'm trying to remember, there was a week of muzzleloader there?
I took notes.
I know you did.
I sat down. I have a legal pad full of notes.
Yeah. Lawyer Lowell.
This is the most prepared I've ever been for a podcast.
Funny, he doesn't even get this prepared for our other podcast that's about how he makes his living.
Yeah, I guess this one matters more.
I reckon.
No, well, I guess we should say at the outset that the reason we're doing this is not for any grand.
No, it's to brag.
Is that it? No, I want to do. My goal with this podcast is I'm going to listen to it before next year.
Yeah.
To remind myself of all the things that I wanted to remember.
Exactly. So, we did that a little bit before we went to Missouri, and it was actually kind of helpful. So
that's my goal. That's why I actually have notes, because these are things I want to remember. And I'm not sure that I'm really happy about other people hearing these trade secrets. No, they're not trade secrets, but we do share some permission on some land. So
yeah. Definitely time to...
It is what it is.
To find a big lease that we can have all to ourselves so that we don't have to worry about this.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
No.
We hunt public land. We hunt share permission properties. And if people can benefit from these, then I guess they can.
Yeah.
So, we arrived home from Missouri on the 8th of November.
Yeah.
Because I looked. And that was a Monday. And then we came home sick. Me and my family.
Yeah, and yours.
I've been sick twice this winter. This last week, and then we were sick through the 11th, which would have been that Thursday. I know that I was I just felt pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, I really should get up in these mornings and at least get out and scout or glass fields or do something. I just didn't feel like it. And I felt kind of stupid because it was prime time.
No, it wasn't all that. You also had a family who needed you to help them through their sicknesses.
We had just gotten back from Missouri. We were gone for 7, 8, 9 days
needed some help around the farm a little bit.
Catch up on a few things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so according to our trail cameras, or at least especially this one spot, we had at least one shooter buck, but I think there were a couple bucks.
Are you talking about here on our place, or are you talking down the other way? Okay.
Down the other way. On the 11th.
Okay. That was like a morning.
I think that
he cruised through there.
Yeah, 11 o'clock. 10 or 11 o'clock daylight. So finally, on the morning of November the 12th, I felt good enough to get out.
That was like the day before rifle season?
Yeah, it was muzzleloader season. Yeah. And I came back from Missouri kind of with this thing that I really wanted to still kill a Virginia buck with my bow.
Well, it just came to you so easily out there. Just kidding.
It's just, I don't know, man. It's hard to switch from you hunt with a bow and you kind of all into that, and it's just hard to go to muzzleloader or
basically
gun, whatever.
Had one hunt out there, right?
Yeah, one day.
So, I mean, I didn't feel that way, and it might have been partially because
you ground for 4 days.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days. Maybe that made the difference, but I was more than ready to pick up a muzzleloader.
I just really wanted to kill a Virginia buck with my bow this year.
Fair enough.
And so I took the bow out, even though it was muzzleloader season.
Yeah.
That was Friday the 13th, and I remember it was a really good morning. There was rain had just cleared out like at sunrise.
Okay.
Right around the time shooting light came, and it was nice. And man, I saw like 6 bucks that morning, and it was one of my best sits of the season. And I pretty much passed a decent 7-pointer, I think. Just not quite. Like, he was borderline with a bow.
Where you were, you could see a decent ways, so that's how you saw the others. Yeah.
Yeah, the others mostly would have been out of range. But it was just cool being able to watch deer and see them. They were definitely moving that morning. Two of those would have been no doubt shooters.
Right, I mean, you're right in the rut there, and it was rut action, wasn't it? I mean,
there was like one buck had a doe, and there was another decent buck. Well, at one point there were 2 bucks trying to get in on that doe. It's just like stuff you see, on YouTube or in the Midwest.
In Iowa.
It's cool to see that in Virginia.
Yeah.
And so then I got out of the tree finally, and I told you, we need to get back down there. It's a good day. Bucks moving, bucks going crazy. So we got back in pretty early, and then it was a pretty slow sit that evening.
I don't even remember where I went. Oh, yeah, it's coming back. I remember now.
Back up, kind of on a ridge.
Yeah, I know where I was now.
I think you saw a buck or 2 right at dark. A little buck. It was either that or early the next morning. I think it was the next morning. Was it? Okay.
Yeah, well, I saw a doe, I think, actually it was.
But you could have shot.
No.
I think it was too dark.
No. I think I just saw a doe, but I can't remember if it was the next morning.
Muzzleloader, you could have shot a doe.
Yeah, but I think it was the next morning, which was rifle season.
Okay.
Anyway.
And then we bounced out, and we were like, well, let's just get right back in there the next morning.
Yeah.
I think I saw that same 7-pointer again that evening. I don't know if it gave me a shot, but I'm pretty sure it was followed doe back up through.
Did it come through on that second trail maybe a little ways?
Which is pretty much where it went the morning. I think I saw it the morning and the evening.
Yeah.
And it cruised through. So then that was Friday the 13th. Saturday was opening day of rifle season. I think I had that. No, that was Friday the 12th. The 13th was the opening day of rifle season. We both hunted our stands again where we hunted that evening.
Yep.
I think I saw a spike.
Yeah, and I think that was the morning or the time I saw a doe up there.
You saw a doe.
Yeah.
And then I think we ended up just hunting around here in the evening, just kind of going out for a little bit.
Yeah.
We didn't hunt Sunday the 14th.
So the 13th was kind of the end of my rutcation.
That's right.
Basically took 2 weeks off and for the Missouri stuff and hunting around here some. So
since you work for yourself,
I didn't hunt as much after that, but
after that very much.
Yeah.
And since I kind of work for myself, I hunted a whole lot more.
Yeah. It's different.
I must be less responsible.
No, it's the nature of what we do.
I thought I don't know, basically So I hunted pretty hard the following week. I hunted like Monday morning, went back to that big thicket place where I'd been hunting. I had good access there. That's why I felt like I could hunt it several times. Didn't see anything. So then I was like, well, I think I need a change of strategy or a change of scenery or something. Need to bounce somewhere else. So then I'm not sure what I did Tuesday the 16th. On the 17th, which was a Wednesday, I think, I broke the rifle out just because I was like, this might be dumb.
Well,
one thing I do like to do, especially if I don't have a really good lead, is I do quite a bit of still hunting and scouting and just walking around first thing in the morning, covering ground, and it feels really hard to do with a bow.
Yep.
And if you have a rifle, it feels like you actually have a chance of killing something.
Yeah, something can happen.
While doing that, I still really
decently quickly.
So I think depending on my setup, I thought, well, maybe I would take a bow if I felt like something was going to, walk in close.
Yeah.
So I ended up passing that morning. I went to a place where I could see quite a bit, and a doe and an 8-pointer walked up behind me. I could hear it grunting a little bit, and they came piling up like right behind me. I could have shot him. He was pretty good 8. I was really close to pulling the trigger. You remember I texted you like, man, it's past an 8.
I think that was down that lower area. Yeah.
He was a good enough deer that I backtracked where he went to then, and I was like, I kind of want to see him again.
Yeah.
But then I never did. So that was so most of these hunts were morning hunts because I was taking Dawson out in the evenings.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I might have hunted a few of these evenings, but through this period of time, I hunted a lot of mornings.
You did.
And then I would, at one point, I was 8 out of 10 mornings.
You were getting kind of cantankerous and low on sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
It was a lot of mornings.
It was a lot of mornings, yep.
I kind of got used, kind of had a morning routine. I kind of got used to that. Another morning, I'm not sure, I hunted back here on our neighbor's place. I slipped in there and hunted with my bow. See, I think that was a place I was like, what's close to that scrape.
Yeah.
Pretty tight funnel, but I don't remember which, somewhere around the 17th here. Or maybe that was like the 19th. Then that Saturday, which would have been the 20th, I was also still hunted that morning, and I was still hunting through some planted pines. That's when I saw a buck probably an hour after daylight or less. Yeah. And that was a good one.
You were going to shoot him.
I was going to shoot him. At one point, he was walking along this river, and I was like, okay, wow, I actually saw him before he saw me. I got stopped. I got my gun up on him, and he was walking. I'm like, oh, he's going to walk right by him. I'm going to shoot him. And then he turned and went the other way.
Is your phone ringing?
That was my phone.
Okay.
Text message or something.
Okay. I thought I heard a bunch of buzzing like a phone call. Not a big deal.
And anyways, but he actually turned more broadside.
Okay.
And it was like paralleling.
Yeah.
Right at about the right distance. And I think
40 yards, 80 yards.
35,
okay.
30 to 40.
Yeah.
And I was up on him, tracking. He was moving in and out of trees.
Yeah.
I think I could have forced a shot or two. But I was like, well, he's going to this place where it's a nice big opening. I'll just let him pop out. And he popped out. His head popped out. I was just waiting for the rest of it. I literally had my safety off and everything. One more step and he was dead. It popped out and just something sixth sense.
Yep.
And he
like
stopped,
he was.
bobbed a little
you were
bit.
upwind or whichever way is the right way.
The wind was a little sketchy that morning.
Okay.
I didn't think that he smelled me for whatever reason. I know the wind switched
Yeah.
at one point. Maybe he did, but I didn't think so at the time. He
You were-
just like
yeah.
said something. I was on the ground, you know, and I didn't have tons of cover. But anyway, he looked, boom, boom, turned, and just right back the way he came. He was like, man, I was so sick. It made me.
You were downright depressed, yeah. I mean, like you said, you just done whatever 8 out of 10 mornings, and
Yeah, that's right. This was towards the end of that streak, and and I'd been on deer. It felt, you know, it's just like it just hadn't quite come together. And now that morning, I mean, I just thought it was cool. I had a plan. I wanted to still hunt through this thing, and
well, it's like we talk
worked.
about with Missouri. It's like you do all this hunting all this time, and you might get one decent chance.
Yeah, anyway,
and that was kind of how it felt like you felt.
Like 8 o'clock in the morning. I could have shot him. It wasn't that far off a field edge. I'd have drove the truck to the field edge, drag him up the hill, threw him on the back of the truck.
We should get a winch for situations like that,
I guess.
Yeah.
So I still hunted back the way he came, hoping to run into him again. And actually, that same morning, I was still hunting along, and I heard something behind me. Man, there were deer moving that morning. I can't remember how many. I didn't write down, but I saw a bunch. 8 or 10 maybe that morning.
Do you remember which day was it?
It was a Saturday, the 20th.
Okay.
That's what I wrote down anyway.
Yeah.
So then I had another deer. I was like, oh, I hear one coming. And I like got ready and saw antlers. And he was coming right behind me. He came down off that ridge from where that field is. There are a few places they can really travel down. So he came kind of at an angle.
Okay.
It was a place, it wasn't as steep.
Yeah.
Came down and crossed, and he actually crossed my trail. And he caught a whiff right when he did that. And I had the safety off on him, man. I was almost thinking to shoot him.
Do you know how big he was? Like,
I think he was a 7-pointer.
Okay.
But I don't think it was that same 7-pointer. Like, in my mind, he was bigger. Like, he was really close to being shot. He seemed wider than that other one I passed with my bow.
Interesting.
Anyway, he almost got shot, and I was like, I guess not. And so he went over through, and I think he could bump a doe around over there. I'm not sure what he did. Anyway.
So that was a Saturday.
That was a Saturday. So I was kind of, I don't know. It felt good that I was on deer. Now the really interesting thing about that spot, and I was going to put this in my takeaways for the season, but I'll just add it in here. So if you think about that particular spot, it's a strip of woods. There's a river and there's a field, and there's thick bedding on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
Now, think about the doe trails. The doe trails cross, they're going to go from thick to field, like, back and forth. The bucks I saw were running exactly, they were paralleling, crossing those doe trails, cruising the river. The other one was cruising the ridge.
Doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, and I just think bucks cruising in the rut, they're going to just be crossing the doe trails. So that's one thing I want to think about a lot this coming year, is put yourself in those kind of situations.
Yeah.
Because good things can happen.
Yep. Especially, I mean, that's right at kind of the peak of the rut, supposedly.
Well, I just think
maybe a little.
It felt like to me, like I saw a lot of really good movement, that whole week after we got back the 13th into the 20s.
Yeah.
And it feels to me like our rut in Virginia, for whatever reason, is just a little bit later than
what we'd seen out in Missouri
or wherever. Like that, and this is, I mean, that's
surely,
the same thing could be said for other years. It just seems like that 10th through the 20th is a really, and even later.
I guess,
the 20th.
but I'm just thinking back to that big one you shot with the muzzleloader.
That was on the 2nd.
That was, yeah.
November the 2nd.
But, I mean, could just been some pre-rut activity.
I mean, the rut is not a,
I know.
But I just think we see a lot of pretty good. That's why that little bounce out to the Midwest the first week of November is kind of, I think it cows out.
That did sound like a cow, didn't it?
That's kind of a good time, I think, for us, because we can still bounce back and get a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And on Monday the 22nd, I shot a good deer. I shot another one on the 18th of December, and it's pretty much the season.
There you go, yeah. Whackity whack.
Yep.
You want to talk a little more about this, too?
So long-winded. Yeah, the 22nd. So that morning, here again, it was a rainy morning. The rain was supposed to quit, and I was going into this big, thick spot that I'd hunted the edges of at the beginning of the week before.
But you were going down a way, like a little different end of it. Yeah.
And so you were going to go with me that morning, but then for circumstances out of your control, you couldn't. So it was a little sketchy. It may or may not have involved wading a river in the dark and
up to your earlobes, right?
Close. Climbing over a log, and it was actually a little bit sketchy.
It was pretty cold, wasn't it? Or not?
It wasn't. I don't think it was below freezing that morning.
Okay.
It was kind of drizzly, and I don't know, it might have been in the 40s or something.
Yeah.
So it was too deep for me to go across in my boots. So I had to scramble up on a log, which had fallen across the river, and whatever. Got across and got to the edge of this big, thick area where you can see, and I was going to climb a tree on the edge of there. That was my plan, but I guess with crossing the river and everything, it was basically right at gray light when I got in there, and I'm like, well, I'm not sure that it feels like deer could move in on me anytime, so I better stay down. So I just stayed on the ground for a little while till I got light a ways, so I could see to shoot when I went to climb up on the edge of this area. And so finally, and I had to go up and around because there was other creek.
That's right. It's kind of a gully, you were telling me.
This is my first time into this spot.
Yeah.
So
I've looked at it on the map a little bit.
Yeah. Got over to the tree I was going to climb, and I was like, I better have my gun on my back where I could shoot, and obviously safely. So I always pop the bolt up and so forth, and so I started climbing the tree. I think I had put 2 sticks up, and I was getting ready to put my third up or something. I can't remember, and I heard a doe snort. And I looked, you can see that one, and then there were 2 other deer with her, and one of them was a pretty decent buck. And they kind of ran back a little bit into the thick stuff where I couldn't see them. And I was like, man, I was kind of kicking myself because this was only 2 days after what happened to me on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then they kind of, I don't know if they didn't see me or... The buck was obviously onto the doe or the bucks. I think it was 2 maybe.
Didn't you think that he saw you at some point?
Well, I'm not sure.
Knew something
she
was up?
definitely did.
Okay.
But I think he was maybe just reacting to her, but he was with the doe, so he wasn't quite sure. Anyway, I had one chance. And it was shooting down to some pretty thick stuff, so I didn't have the best, most unobstructed shot in the world, but I was also really paranoid.
How far was it?
About 35 yards.
Yeah.
40. I was also really paranoid about waiting too long to shoot and having it get away because that had happened Saturday. So I probably forced a shot through some thick stuff that I shouldn't have. I shot. He ran off, and I don't think I hit him on that shot.
Okay.
Because I saw some brush that had gotten clipped by my bullet.
Huh.
So he stopped.
I forgot that little detail.
I triangulated again. I couldn't, I could see his back and everything.
Yeah.
It was kind of
some grassy brushy stuff. Yeah.
And then I shot, and he dropped. Well, he disappeared. I hoped he dropped. It's so funny how you sometimes you're not sure.
Well, anyway. Especially when you flinch when you're shooting a gun, it's like you close your eyes and then they're gone.
Yeah, and then you don't know what happened.
No, not necessarily flinching, but the surprise of the shot, you can kind of lose them.
So I just quickly got down. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to ease over there and see what happened.
Yeah.
And I could see stuff wiggling as I got closer. And sure enough, I dropped him on that shot. I actually had to shoot him once more just to make... Well, I don't know if I would have had to or not, but...
Yeah.
I just...
If they're kicking and moving...
I just don't like it, and I like to end everything as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So that was that.
So it was a little bit of a pain to get him out of there, but...
Yeah, so that was a really nice deer. He had a...
I'm trying to remember.
A fork G2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I guess he was officially a 9-pointer, but
yeah,
pretty. I don't even remember what his inside spread was, and
he was a really, really nice deer. In case Lowell's downplaying it a little bit here.
Probably my second biggest deer, I guess, ever.
You put a tape on him sort of loosely.
Yeah, he's probably in the low 140s, possibly.
Yeah.
If I did everything right. I never quite know.
Really, really.
I just kind of rough.
Nice deer for Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty nice time length, and anyway, I was
pretty
really
massive too. I mean,
really
he had a lot of mass. Yeah.
He was not very wide.
Yeah.
I think that was one thing I remember, but yeah, decent mass. And so I was very tickled. I didn't have cell phone service in there, so I was gonna call you and get you to help muck him out, and then I decided, nah, I can do it myself. So
I hope that our mics aren't picking up the 4-wheeler running around in the background.
Chasing the cow.
Dad's probably doing jumps and stuff with it.
Could be.
Knowing him. Just kidding.
So anyway, I was beyond happy, and I just took my time. I was like, well, so I didn't call you. I'm like, I think I can get him out myself.
Yeah.
Found a way out across the river and just sacrificed I just decided to get wet and forget the boots and wade through.
On the way out with the deer, it's a little easier to make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it felt really good. I hunted hard, and
we were
all of it had come to fruition, and so I just took my time, enjoyed it, took a bunch of pictures, and I didn't tell anybody till I was on the way back home, and I was talking to my wife, and I did finally tell her.
Yeah, I was trying to decide if that was the morning that your wife was worried about where you were or not, but I think it wasn't. I think it was another morning.
Yeah, I stopped at school, and I called Dawson and got him to come out. I didn't tell him what. Told him I need to talk to him a little bit, so I got to show him, and then show y'all, I guess, once I got here.
Yeah, no, we were stoked that it worked out. Like, you weren't being hard to get along with or live with, but you could tell that
I just wanted to kill a deer.
Well, I mean, you put a lot of work into it, and it's just nice when something pays off like that.
Yeah. The interesting, so that spot or that area, basically, I found it. I punched in there one morning in July, I think. Yeah. Or August. And I took you back in there the first part of September.
We hung a camera in there, right?
Hung a camera in there. Got a buck, like the very first picture that we ever got out of that. So,
that was the one that our friend shot. Steven shot.
So it's, I don't know. If that was kind of interesting. It felt like scouting and stuff kind of paid off, and I remember
surprise.
Well, it does seem like I have done a whole ton more scouting in the last 2 to 3 years than I ever have before in my life, and I don't know, I guess it's just helped me get more lucky.
Yeah, well, when how's that saying that when opportunity meets I forget. Basically, hard
Some
work
wise.
pays off.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't always pay off in the form of shooting a buck, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to put you a whole lot more in the game than if you didn't.
Yeah, you have a lot more chance of getting lucky or shooting a deer if you're doing all
that
the
just goes
the
for
things.
just being out there, man. You're bound to see something. You're going to see a deer cross the road. You're going to see a buck locked
I mean, that's
on
what
a
happened in
doe.
Missouri. I mean,
Something. You're going to see something that's going to help you. I mean, like that buck that ran up on me that I almost shot that 8-pointer. I mean, yeah, that was kind of lucky. I was at a place where I could see a long ways, and he came up behind me, he and the doe. But just being out there, if you're at home, you're not going to see that kind of thing.
Yep.
So then it was the week of Thanksgiving. That was like the Monday before Thanksgiving, and I did hunt some more, but I did take the foot off the gas a little bit. My family, I'd been hunting
at some
a
point
lot.
in here, you started taking Dawson quite a bit evenings.
Yeah, I was taking him a lot through the
He
year.
kind of caught the bug this year. He really wanted to kill one.
So I kind of concentrated on trying to get him on a deer.
Yeah.
And in the evenings, it worked out good to take him in the evenings and hunt in the mornings. But I didn't hunt as much right around Thanksgiving and stuff. We did some. I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I don't remember everything we did.
I don't remember everything either.
Nothing terribly noteworthy happened.
Was that when I shot the doe? At some point I shot a doe
Probably.
on a Saturday.
That would have been a doe day.
Yeah.
Maybe the first, maybe when doe
I think
season
maybe it
came
was the
back
second
in
doe
December.
day. Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, it was a Saturday.
Yeah, I know it was a Saturday,
Yeah,
but I don't remember which one.
It might have been right after the Saturday after I shot that buck.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyway, so I think then I was like, well, I'm not going to hunt quite as much in the mornings once we moved on into December, but I wanted to kind of prioritize that second rut period of time and do some kind of almost hunt like it was November a little bit, which I don't think I quite accomplished that, but I did hunt some mornings during that period of time in December. I'm not sure if they really, really paid off. So you just want me to tell you about the last deer I killed?
Yeah, I think that's about what we're down to here.
So then, like basically a week before Christmas on the 18th, I was trying to, so it was kind of, we weren't really on anything. Our cameras had kind of
dried up.
Or we were getting some nighttime buck pictures.
Yeah.
But it was kind of hard to.
I'm trying to remember how everything
Yeah,
was.
I mean, we were just monitoring things, and it didn't feel like we had a really good opportunity to kill something.
Yeah. Didn't we get some pictures later on, like when we pulled cameras that weren't cell cameras that were kind of cranking up around then, but at night as well? I'm trying to remember, like there was that one.
At that place.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe.
I could be wrong.
Anyway, but I was trying to think, okay, it feels like it's been a long season, a lot of pressure. Deer are definitely back off the fields and the easy hunting. And so where are places where they're going to be, where they've been undisturbed? And I did think about a place, a friend.
I think we might as well mention, we do have dog hunting around here too.
Right.
So that was also part of where would a deer go to
and the dogs
kind of bug off from them.
Always, they're not supposed to run them on other people's land without permission, but you can't tell a dog where he can and can't travel, so they do spill over onto other people's land and whatever. It just happens. So it feels like daytime deer movement, once we get on into rifle season a little bit, just comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Even right here around our place where we don't have so many dogs, it feels like that. Just a lot of pressure.
It's in their DNA.
So I was looking for maybe pockets of really thick stuff or stuff we got pushed back in the So I had checked a few weeks earlier with a friend of mine who owns about 40 acres of thick stuff. And I thought, that's an interesting spot. I bet you.
It kind of had the connection, several connections in it, or along it.
But it was thick enough where I felt like stuff could get pushed back into, and hopefully kind of undisturbed from other hunters and dogs and whatever.
Yeah.
So I just slid in there it was a drizzly, rainy Saturday evening.
It was a horrible evening.
Kind of ease into this spot and see what there is to see.
Yeah.
And see what sign or whatever. I had a camera along. I thought I could hang that. So I was easing in, and I ended up, it was on the late side, really. I was going to go maybe back to this other spot I wanted to get to. On the way in, I found a pretty fresh scrape. This was on December the 18th. So I'm thinking, second rut action, whatever. And I'm also thinking, don't go past obvious stuff, looking for other stuff. Just stop. Trying to learn my lessons.
It's easy when you have a place in mind and you're going in. Yeah,
exactly.
You're just going to that place.
And then it was getting late enough. I was like, you know what? There's no way I'm going to get to where I was thinking about going. I'm going to just position myself where I can shoot the trail where this scrape is on, and a sharp transition area between some really, really thick stuff and these pines that I was still hunting through. Also, so I slid up this hill. The trail ran along the bottom, and it was
a
pretty steep hillside. I'm going to say 60, 70 yards wide.
I think that's about
right.
There's
a creek and a trail at the bottom. The scrape was there, and then this really abrupt transition of cover up on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And the woods where I was were dark, like piney woods, but you could see through them, at least in spots.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was easing up this hill where I could kind of watch both of those, and I caught a glimpse as I was still hunting through, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a deer. And I stopped for a while, and then I never see anything more of it. Well, I better not go in there much farther. I better just kind of set up here. I think I went maybe a little bit farther, and it was getting on towards dark, and I said, well, I should grunt just for, why
just
not?
In case, yeah.
So soon after I did that, I caught movement again, and it was a deer. It was a doe. I think it was a deer I saw, and it kind of piqued its interest that I grunted, and it kind of worked its way. Maybe, I don't know, it's trying to circle me a little bit, get downwind of me or what. Anyway, it kind of worked in, ended up seeing me and blew.
Okay.
And bounded off.
Yeah.
Now, used to been, I would have been like really disgusted.
You jumped up and started stomping ruined.
Yeah. So, fun fact, that was the third deer. Well, never mind. Let me go on with my story, and then I'll come back to that. Okay, so I was like, okay, doe blew. What am I going to do? So I decided, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I grabbed my grunt call, and I started making like tending grunts and walking pretty loudly through it was pine needles and stuff, so it was hard to make a lot of racket.
There's some brush and stuff too.
But I was trying to make some noise, may walk another 15 or 20 yards, and I kind of paralleled that transition. Yeah. And I was like, well, deer snort all the time. Does snort at bucks. Maybe deer, if there's a buck in the area and I do that, maybe he'll think there's another buck over here. She's snorting at him. Getting darker. Caught movement off to my right on that transition. And it was a deer. And it came a little bit closer. Yep, it's got antlers. And I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty decent deer. And then I was like, man, should I shoot? Should I not? And it was moving, like it wasn't stopped, but it was just walking right down that transition back towards where the doe had run and had snorted. And so it took me just a little bit because I decided, you know what, I've already shot 2 bucks this fall. I shot one in Missouri and I
Yeah.
shot the other one. I don't need to kill a buck just to kill a buck. Like, if it's nice, a decent buck, I'm going to. But if it's just a borderline deer or one I'm not quite sure I want to shoot, them, I'm going to let it pass. And then I thought, you know what? That thing, it's got mass. It's a good deer. I should probably shoot it.
Yeah.
Especially because we live in our part of the world and not Iowa. So, and by that time, it had gotten about so far past me, I had to move my gun. So I was rested on a tree on, like, say, this side, and I had to lift my gun up, get around the tree.
Yeah,
come
move to the other side of the tree.
Down the tree on this side, on the left side of the tree. And when I did that, he caught movement right as I was getting down, but it was, I guess
too late.
Maybe I had learned from my other lessons, and like, I better not give him more time.
Yeah.
So I shot him.
Yep, you did.
I came right down on him, and I didn't give him a lot of time, and he went running off. And I wasn't quite sure. I was pretty sure I made a good shot, and it was only probably 30 yards or so. And then, worked up still before dark where he was, and I made a really good shot on him. He maybe went 30 yards and piled up. Drug him out, and
then you told me you shot a little doe.
Yeah, I had to pull your leg a little bit.
I can't believe I fell for it because I should have known better. But anyhow, I was like, that's the nicest antlers I've ever seen on a doe.
Yeah, I had specifically told you I wasn't going to shoot a deer back in that spot because it was Saturday evening and it was a bit of a pain to get one out and stuff. So, I don't know. I guess I was tickled. I guess it wasn't like I scouted this area or knew.
It was your first time in there, right? Yeah.
But I think the things that made me feel good that I'd done the right thing. Was I looked for spots maybe where deer had been pushed to. So I kind of thought through that, and then I saw. Well, I didn't go too far. I stopped when I should have. Like, instead of blowing back in farther and blowing things out, and I saw that one deer, but I was able to see her and stop before she saw me, and then she did end up spooking, and then I actually set up at the right spot where he could work that transition. So that's
interesting.
That's that. Trying to think if I had anything. Yeah, so what are your takeaways for the season? Those are the deer we killed.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably the same one I generally have. I do enjoy hunting. I love it, but for me, it's like I'd about as soon take that week, 2 weeks, and hunt really hard and not be done. But like, I don't know. But yeah, the in season. Looking around, finding something that's active and actually happening versus going based off of what we've done for 30 years or maybe not that long, but
I guess one thing that buck, he was an 8-pointer.
Yeah. Pretty
decent mass. He wasn't as big as the first one I'd killed.
I'd have whacked him in a heartbeat too.
Right. He was, I think, he was probably, I think I threw a tape on him, what was he? Mid upper 20s or something. But man, in our part of the world, those are pretty good deer. He had good mass. I think he might
have even been a 2-year-old.
Probably not.
Now you were looking at teeth on some of these deer.
Yeah, I just started getting into that. I'm gonna hopefully do better.
Still a little confusing, but
follow in the future, but I'm trying to learn that. I mean, he had to be at least 3.5, but I bet you he's 4.5 or older. Just going by the mass on his antlers.
Yeah.
So,
what all were your takeaways?
I just wrote a bunch of stuff down.
Okay.
So I was talking about the snorting, that doe snorting.
Yeah.
Every buck I killed this year, the one in Missouri, the 2 in Virginia, had deer snort
Had
before
snorting does, yeah.
before I killed them. Every single one.
Interesting.
And now the middle one I killed, the biggest one in that cut.
Yeah.
Like he was with her when she snorted.
Yeah.
The other 2 times they weren't, but he knew something was up, but he wasn't quite sure. But my point is, just because deer snort doesn't mean you're... Now, maybe, if they blow the food plot up or whatever.
Yeah.
But in timber, deer snort, man.
It's a communication mechanism. It's not like they're saying, get out of here.
Like, they don't know that, there's a human over there, that deer snorted. Well, they don't know. They don't know if it's a coyote. They don't know if it's a buck or whatever.
Yeah.
And so... did my grunting and walking, did that make him come in? I don't know, but
sure didn't hurt anything.
He came in.
Yeah.
It's probably 10 minutes later or something. I don't know if... So, anyway, just because deer snorts or a doe snorts, whatever, doesn't mean your hunt is over. That was one of my takeaways. I really was trying to think about the second rut this year in December. We saw it on our cameras. We saw it on scrapes. They open back up.
Yeah.
The rut is like, it's not for 2 weeks in November and then it's over forevermore. Like, there's more activity. So, and if you aren't out there, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
And it's not the same. Like, I think I thought, well, if I hunt hard like I did during the November period of the rut, then,
Let me cut this heater off.
I'll see as many deer. And I didn't. Like, morning hunts, like, it is different. It's not the same, but, it's still a worthwhile time. I have here mornings.
Yeah,
it's like necessity. Like, I kind of had it worked really well with my family this year to hunt. You can hunt mornings. You're not away from your family for as long because they're sleeping.
All the deer I killed were in evenings, so I'm an evening person.
Well, I killed 2 of my bucks in the evenings.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I just think that mornings are really good for rut.
Yeah,
and I kind of have a love-hate relationship with hunting mornings because it can be a drag. But I just think that
it's really, really hard to drag yourself out of bed
consistently, day after day. But I do think you see a lot of really good movement in the mornings.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a theme I'm picking up on other podcasts. It seems like more and more people are. I wonder if the outdoor media world hunting food plots. That's just a different thing. You're gonna see more evening movement on those things, but for the rest of us who live in the real world, mornings.
I don't know. I remember Mark and Terry killing some big old bucks in the mornings.
Yeah, maybe.
Rise and moon. They used to always talk about that.
Another note I have, and I thought this was really interesting, but when the rain is clearing out,
like after a period of showers,
period of rain, like an all-night rain or whatever. The first buck I killed, it was kind of drizzly and whatever, but it was winding down. That morning, the 12th, that I saw really, really good movement, saw a bunch of bucks. That was
after some rain,
right after rain was clearing out, especially when that period of time coincides with normal morning movement. Man, be in the woods.
Well, it's like they hunker down for the rain or something, and then they have extra energy afterwards or something.
I just think it's a great time to be out there. The last buck I killed was in the evening, but it was a drizzly evening. It wasn't. We'd had some periods of rain that day, but it was light at the time. I just think that's a really good time to be out. So I definitely want to think about that. Midday movement around a full moon. That was one of the things. There were 2 days right around the full moon when on our cameras we had 3 shooter bucks between 10 and 2. Like 2 in one day and 1 the day before, I think.
Interesting. Was that up here or was that down there?
Both.
Okay.
One back there.
Yeah.
And one on that ridge, that place I never hunted, but we ran a camera all year. There was a
Oh,
really
yeah.
nice buck in there.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
In the
Yeah.
middle, I think was at 10
Interesting.
o'clock, and then
Do you know what the dates for that was this year?
I don't.
That full
but
moon.
It was like right around the full moon. I can dig back through on the dates.
It's fine. I was just
It's
curious.
fascinating to me. And then I have a friend in Pennsylvania, Devon, and he had a 10-pointer on camera the same day.
I think I remember
right
you
in the
talking
middle of
about
the day.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
some of them were cell cams and some were regular
Yeah.
cams.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that a coincidence? I don't know. But next year, during the rut in November, I think some midday hunting right around the full moon is definitely something we should do.
Or all day hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, but like this year, something happened during that period of time. I mean,
Interesting.
maybe it's just anecdotal, but I'd sure
Hey,
like to find
give
out
yourself a few more data points.
with a bow.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that running cameras can kind of maybe help you pick up on some of those things.
Yeah.
A couple more things. A spot or two. I had, I guess maybe, it was more than one. We just ran cameras all year, like just put a camera in there. It was like a spot man I thought about hunting before. You can learn a lot by doing that, even if you don't hunt it. Just let the camera run.
Right.
So
As long as it's actually taking pictures.
Yeah. I'd like to do more of that next year. Find these, spots and just let it run. And there was another place, and this is another point I had. It's like, don't give up on a spot too early just because you didn't see signs. So I scouted it last year right after the season, found what I thought was a good primary scrape. Went in and hunted it in the middle to later part of October, and it just didn't look that great. So I ended up pulling the camera. The camera, I think a bear had messed with it or something and wasn't taking pictures anyway. And I pulled it, and that was the last time we were in there. Well, we went in there a couple weeks before the end of the season. And it's like, well, I'm just going to still hunt through here and scout it, whatever. That place, it had some sign in it. And I wish we hadn't given up on it. So
we rehung a camera there, didn't we, then?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that wasn't back here?
No, that was down the other way.
Okay, sorry.
So my note to myself is don't give up on a spot just because you don't see sign early, like, in October. It might be a good rut spot. It just, like, I really wish I'd had a camera there all through November.
Some of those things maybe change when the leaves go down.
Well, and crop rotation. Think about that spot specifically. The crops are completely, that was an area that was on fire last year, but it seemed deader this year. But the crop rotation was completely different. Now, really interesting to see next year when the crop rotation goes back.
Yeah. It might go back the other way.
This isn't soybeans and corn. This is other kind of crops, but it can't be too specific. But, I'm really curious. And so it also seemed like that the other place I ended up doing a lot of hunting in that general area, that seemed to be the spot that was on fire this year. So I'm really curious next year, is it going to go back?
Yeah.
Or, but that's also something, just being out there, watching, seeing sign, helps you learn. And the other interesting thing about this, so this year there were no acorns. So, like that spot I ran the camera.
No. You need to say it right. They're acorns.
Acorns, whatever. The spot I ran the camera, we had a couple of decent bucks on it, but not what I was expecting. But it felt like an aberration. I think on a year with a decent acorn crop, I really feel like that camera will be in a better spot, especially early season.
Yeah.
So I guess you just got to run them on both years and whatever.
Yeah.
And my final thing, takeaway, scrapes. I want to do a better job. Like, I'm just into scrapes, man. I always think scrapes are cool.
Well, that's what you said last year, after you shot that big one over the scrape.
Yeah, and I did specifically kill a deer over a scrape this year. but
it keyed you in on some activity for sure.
So I want to do a better job of hunting over scrapes in October this coming season. And I made a mock scrape in front of that one camera. It was we had tried to scratch a little scrape in September.
Yeah.
And then didn't have a good looking branch, whatever. So I cut off, I don't know, half a tree or whatever, and I jammed it up in some place, and it hung all these little branches with leaves right at the perfect spot. Like I just jammed it up in there. It's still there right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess we took the camera off of it. And but deer really, really worked that thing. And so I want to do more of that.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed, that spot, but if you notice around here, deer really like to scrape under trees that hold branches or hold leaves. Beech trees and southern red oaks.
Interesting.
I found
that
just last week or a week and a half ago, I found there were scrapes on this field edge, but pretty big, like for field edge scrapes. I actually hung a camera there. It was under a southern red oak tree. And that was the tree on that field edge that still had leaves. And I think they get there, they can rub their nose and their glands on their face or whatever
a little easier
up in those leaves, and they really like it.
Yeah.
So I would like to do some more mock scrapes this coming year. I really think we could do ones that would help us. Not that you're just going to make a mock scrape and deer's going to come in here and shoot it, but I think if you incorporate it into
especially
an area
if you
where there's already deer,
especially if you can put a camera on it and get pinpointed pictures like they're coming here to do this here.
Yeah, but it was just really cool. We made that one scrape, and we had, I don't know how many different bucks work that scrape, including some in daylight.
Yeah.
And I just think you could replicate that in other areas.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. But that leaf thing, I think, is definitely something. Man, it's a long podcast.
Yeah. I was just making sure I was still recording. Also, my little niece would like to see me, so... Are you about done?
I'm about done.
I'm pretty much done.
For this coming year, I really... Well, actually, so I killed a deer in December this year. I really like to kill a deer in October, a buck, I mean, in October with my bow. You
shot a doe in October this year with your bow.
This whole October deer hunting thing, trying to figure out where they're bedding and stuff, I just want to be able to figure that out. I don't feel like I have a good handle on it. I feel like I can kind of get on deer during the rut, figure out travel corridors and some stuff like that, but I would like to do better this coming year at that. Get permission. We've got to get more permission. We're so locked into... I'm going to have to call Steve and have to talk.
What? Okay. Yeah, I would really like to get something across 29 at some point. Just... Like I've heard people talk about deer just behave differently over there where dogs can't be ran. I don't know if it's necessarily all that, but I'm curious.
So. Yeah, I just think, that's one of the simplest things you can do to probably get into more deer is the more places you have, the better your options, and you can hunt your best spots.
Yeah.
We have, for 20 years, we have kind of had this, like, this is our hunting area, and these are our options.
Yeah,
and we're going to just go here time and time again.
Yeah.
Well, this year, we actually got some permission and hunted some different spots and killed some deer. And now I think we can replicate that in a lot of other places. And the majority of the time, when you stop and talk to people, even if they tell you no, that it's not like I don't really enjoy it, but people are generally
it's not like these suburban archery hunters who are calling the cops on you. That's right. At least. Yeah.
I just think that's one of the easiest things we can do to increase our number of spots and probably
kill more deer.
Yeah. So those are kind of my takeaways. I probably forgot something, but
well, that's what the podcasts between now and November will be about.
Just want to keep learning, man. Figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we'll ever quite figure it out, but
no,
as long as you're learning and improving,
it's just fun.
I feel like that's
it's just fun to be out there.
learning and improving is the name of the game.
Yeah, within reason, I think. But anyhow. All right. Any final words, or should we just wrap it up here?
Deer season.
Okay, we just crossed 1 hour, so we can go ahead and whack this off.
Yeah, we better head. I'm excited for getting out and scouting and
doing some shed hunting.
We still have some cameras out. We'll keep running them for a little while. See about when shedding starts. And the good thing is, we had some pretty nice bucks, really nice bucks on camera during the final week of the season. So I really feel like we should have some pretty nice deer around.
Yeah.
We didn't actually kill a buck up here on our.
I shot at that one with my muzzleloader
on our farm. Yeah. I assume you didn't kill it. I think we might have got some pictures of it.
We
later
looked
on.
enough. If I did, it sure went a long ways or crawled into a hole.
So we should have some. And here again, up here our way, crop rotation is probably going to change again next year. Instead of beans, it's going to be corn. And
yeah.
I shot that decent deer last year on a corn year in that pinch. Just saying.
True.
Anyway, we have a decent amount to be excited about. I think we actually could have some really big deer to chase.
I'm happy for some hundos. Just a couple of hundos.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I mean, I'd shoot a 200 in a heartbeat, don't get me wrong. All right, well, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, bless your heart, and we'll be back with another episode when we do another one. See ya.